Bellingwood Vignettes by Diane Greenwood Muir. Book 12, Vignette number 2, Not Quite an Antique. He whistled as he flipped the sign in the front door to open. And then he stopped. He whistled through the tune again and then, in a gravelly voice that he hated to admit was his own, muttered through the lyrics until he could get to the title. Lovely, never, never change. There it was. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it, 'cause I love you just the way you look tonight. Simon did a smooth turn on the hardwood floor, held out his arms as if he were dancing with a partner, and smiled. He was no Fred Astaire, but he'd enjoyed dancing in his day. The things in this store had lived out their lives in the past. That's why he loved the antique business so much. He opened a box that he'd brought up from the basement and took out a papier-mâché pumpkin lantern. He was a little late in decorating for Halloween, but these items had been around this many years. They wouldn't mind waiting a few more hours. The 4 little candles would sit beside his register. He liked them and hoped they would never sell. 2 witches, a ghost, and a pumpkin head. There used to be hundreds of these silly little character candles. Now everybody wanted aromatherapy. Why couldn't a candle just be a candle? You're getting old and crotchety, Simon, he said to himself. You need to get out more. An envelope of paper cutouts of black cats with arched backs went on the counter to take up to the front window. There'd been a time when he went all out, hanging spider webs in the windows and draping sheets to create ghosts. But nowadays, kids didn't come in often enough to care, and besides, Halloween had become so much more sophisticated. Everybody wanted to see zombies and aliens these days. He looked up when the bell on the door rang. He loved the sound of a cowbell, even if it was a small one. "Good morning, Simon," his sister-in-law said. "We haven't heard from you in a while and wondered if you'd like to come over for dinner." Jean meant well, but her husband, Simon's brother, was a crusty old guy, and he always thought he was better than Simon. All of those years as a professor down at Iowa State gave Sam Gardner a big head. Simon could have done more with his life if he'd wanted to. Years ago, he'd planned to be an anthropologist. He loved understanding people and why societies became what they were. For instance, Halloween. Humanity's fascination with death and the macabre was quite interesting to him. But he no longer had the passion to do the research and spend time writing the articles that floated around in his mind. He had the degrees, but he'd never gotten a chance to do much with them. He had just finished his doctorate when his world turned upside down. It had given him the freedom to live and travel and study, but he could never find the energy to care about those things again. He'd fallen into this antique shop, and it suited him. Sam didn't understand that. And poor Jean, she'd started worrying about him 45 years ago when his wife died while giving birth to their daughter. Just as their lives were supposed to start, the woman he loved and the baby they'd prepared for were gone. The pain had mellowed long years ago, but Jean still insisted on worrying. "Simon," she said again. Now she was standing in front of him. "What are you thinking about?" He gave her a quick hug. Nothing much. I was just distracted for a moment. What are you doing here other than checking up on me?" "Sam's over at Sycamore House gathering pumpkins from their garden. He's proud of those beasts this year. He wouldn't admit it, but he loves being around the people over there. Our garden certainly didn't produce like it has in the past, but there's no shortage of good produce." "I'm glad he has that outlet," Simon said. He needed to be with people who didn't treat him like a god. Jean swatted his arm. "Now, Simon, you be good. You know you love your brother. I know that he married the perfect woman. You've always let him be a pushy grump." "Oh, he doesn't get away with much," she said with a small laugh, "no matter how hard he tries. He just never learned all of the niceties of conversation." Jean patted his hand, "like you did." The bell rang again, and 2 women came in. They glanced at him, smiled, and walked to one side of the shop, touching the furniture and picking up items as they went. Good morning, Simon called out to them. If there's anything you are looking for specifically, please ask. I have items hidden in nooks and crannies throughout the shop. One of them gave him a sweet smile and then nodded as the other woman handed her a baby doll from a basket in the corner. The bell rang again, and they looked up. Good morning, Simon, Joss Mickles said. Well, hello, Jean. What are you doing out this morning? It's awfully chilly. I'm just checking in with Simon, trying to talk him into coming over for dinner one of these evenings. Joss looked back and forth between them quizzically. She's my brother's wife, Simon said. Sam? And you? Joss looked him up and down. Simon knew what she saw. They were very different. Sam was taller than he was and weighed 50 pounds less. Simon liked his dumpy old suits, and people rarely saw him in anything but a white dress shirt, tie, and jacket. I see it, Joss said. It's in your eyes. She grinned at Jean, and they have exactly the same hair. But I would never have put that together. Fun! Is there something you're looking for? Simon asked. Could you keep your eye out for brightly colored vintage pottery? Kitchenware and vases, anything like that. I've been thinking about how to decorate the new kitchen, and I've landed on this. We aren't in any hurry, but if you see something, I'd love to know about it. Come with me, Simon said and took her arm. He led her to a side table. Like this? Exactly, she said, and picked up a bright yellow canister, the largest of a set of 3. I want these right now. They're perfect. She pointed at a pair of vases, one pink and one blue. And those too. Anything like this. He nodded. Did you walk down this morning? Yeah. Would you mind if I came back at lunch with my car to pick it all up? That would be delightful. I'll have them wrapped and packaged for you. He gathered the 2 vases into his arms, and I'd be thrilled to look for those types of things. Any restrictions on color? Oh no, Joss exclaimed. I want a riot of spring colors in my kitchen. I can hardly wait until we get the new house built. Then this will be fun for both of us. Joss smiled. You go on. I want to wander around. I finally have a few minutes to myself, and this place is peaceful. Well, let me know if I can help with anything else, he said, and went back to his sister. I love watching you in your element, Jean said. It always makes people happy when you find what they're looking for. It makes me happy too, Simon replied. I'll be there. You'll be where? She asked, then said, Oh, dinner? When can you come? You know I have no engagements in the evenings. Tell me when you'd like to cook for me, and I will bring the wine. He grinned. And ice cream. We have to make sure Sam has his ice cream. Jean gave him a hug. Let's make it Wednesday evening. I'll cook your favorite, pot roast. Anything you make is my favorite, Jean, Simon said. Thank you for caring for me. We love you, even if Sam sometimes forgets that he's supposed to say it. Excuse me, one of the women who had come in earlier spoke up. I'll see you Wednesday. Simon followed Jean a few steps to the front door and then veered off down an aisle to answer whatever question might have come up. He smiled to himself. Some days he might feel like the antiques he sold, but friends and family put a spring in his step and a song in his heart. He did a quick 2-step skip and came to a stop. What can I help you with?